Hello, and welcome back to the Reading Studio. I'm here, and I'm glad you're here, and I've got a great book for you. Have you ever made a snowman? Hopefully you have. Well, this book, these characters make a snow horse. So let's get reading. Snow Riders by Constance W. McGeorge. Snow Riders. Constance W. McGeorge, and illustrated by Mary White. It was almost bedtime. Matthew was already in his pajamas, and his sister Molly was busy drawing. "It's snowing!" Matthew exclaimed. "Maybe we'll get to stay home from school tomorrow," said Molly. By morning, the neighborhood was buried in white. School was canceled. Molly and Matthew could hardly wait to go outside. Molly rushed out into the yard and started rolling a snowball. Matthew helped her, and together they pushed the snowball through the deep snow. When it was finally big enough, they started to make another. Molly and Matthew finished the second snowball and then a third. But instead of stacking them one on top of the other, they placed them side by side. And then they made three more. All day long they worked. They packed and pounded handfuls of snow over, under, and between the big snowballs. Finally, their creations were complete, with eyes and ears and flowing manes and tails. But the sun was going down fast. Before they knew it, Molly and Matthew were called inside for supper. That night, Molly and Matthew stood at Molly's bedroom window. They gazed at the snow horses shining brightly in the moonlight. "Let's go," Molly whispered. Crunch, crunch. They crept across the sparkling snow. Under the midnight moon, they climbed onto the cold, silent snow horses. They held imaginary bridle reins and bounced up and down, pretending to ride. Matthew kicked his heels into the side of his snow horse. "Giddy up!" he commanded. Suddenly, the snow horse swung its head around. It whinnied and flashed a bright, shining eye. Then Molly's horse shook its head and tail. Powerful long legs unfolded, and with a rumble, the giant horses heaved themselves upward. The horses pranced in place and then cantered out of the yard. Molly and Matthew grabbed locks of mane and squeezed their legs tight against the horses' sides. The horses splashed across an icy stream and through the woods into a wide open field. Then the horses started to race, ears back, necks flat. They charged into a full gallop, tearing across the field at lightning speed. Molly and Matthew held on tight. Their faces tingled from the icy wind and the flying snow. Suddenly, Molly saw something at the end of the field. It was a fence. Molly held her breath as her horse perked his ears and collected his stride. Then the horse tucked up his knees and jumped the fence clean. "Lean forward!" Molly shouted back at Matthew. "And don't look down!" Matthew leaned forward, his face into the wind. His horse jumped high into the air and cleared the fence. The horses galloped on. They crossed another open field and headed up a steep hill. Finally, the horses slowed down to rest. Molly and Matthew looked out over the valley and up at the starry sky. They listened for a long time to the quiet of the night. The familiar sound of a train whistle drifted up the hill. "Is that the morning train?" asked Matthew. The horses turned and started walking down the hill. The moon lit the way to Molly and Matthew's front yard. The horses were warm and steam rose from their backs. They stood very still, with their heads held high as their riders slid off. Molly and Matthew lingered a moment, stroking and petting the horses. Then they turned away and slipped quietly back into the house. As the moon disappeared behind a cloud, Molly and Matthew tiptoed up to their rooms, and soon they were fast asleep. The end. That's Snow Riders, I hope you enjoyed this read aloud, and please be sure to like and subscribe, and you can get your copy by clicking the link below in the description, and it'll take you to Amazon, and you can get a copy for your library. I'll read to you soon.